Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 17 and compare it against the Google Pixel 10 and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, the thing I can definitely tell you between both these particular devices is that they're both very good. They're both basically the top of the top from both these manufacturers. And if you're in the market and you're trying to go through and pick up some sort of phone, these two phones are very good options. So we'll go and see which one is a better one for you. But first things first, if you do want to go through and pick up either one of these particular devices, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular devices. The Google Pixel 10 came out a little earlier this particular month, and on the Pixel 10 side, on the front side of this particular phone, this phone is going to be giving you a 6.3-inch OLED display. So with a panel like this and with a phone like this, it's going to be giving you a pretty good looking display nonetheless. It's going to be a good size display, 3000 nits of peak brightness, 120 hertz. It's still giving you a really good quality display for the most part, and that's always something that's really nice to be able to go through and basically have. So without a doubt, from that particular perspective, you are still maintaining and still getting a really good type of device. So I want to let that, let everyone kind of know from that standpoint that the Pixel 10's display is nice, hole punch display, but it is also giving you a little bit of bezel around it, but nothing super crazy. With something like the iPhone 17, on the other hand, this phone is going to be giving you a little bit of a different type of display. It's the same type of panel structure, so it's a 6.3 inch, but it's a LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED display. So that type of panel is a little bit different here because it's going to be the same size, but it is going to still be maintaining a really good OLED display. Same 3000 nits of peak brightness, and it's giving you 120 hertz as well. So there's a slight difference here and there, but it's almost the same type of display, which is something that I really like seeing. On top of that, you're also still able to still have like that dynamic island on the iPhone 17, which some people might like, some people might not like. That is also going to be one of those other type of differences here. Again, it's probably not going to be like a super big deal, but it can be one of those types of things that you might run into here as well. But again, it might not be like the biggest deal in the world, but it is just one of those small things to kind of keep in mind there. Between both, they're still giving you USB Type-C ports at the bottom, which is great. They're able to give you these frosted glass backs, which again is really nice to have there. And you're able to maintain these cameras, wireless charging, everything like that. But the main difference here is that with something like the Google Pixel 10, this type of device is basically able to give you this like triple camera setup, which is really nice, where the iPhone 17 is basically giving you this dual camera setup. So that right there is also another really nice thing to basically have there. And the Pixel 10 does have a couple of more flagship type of features. That phone is basically able to go through and give you this reverse wireless charging, which is really nice. And it does give you an additional camera setup. The iPhone 17 is still reliant on reverse wired charging. So that is a little bit of a downside, I will say, if you're going to go through and pick up a phone. It's still nice to be able to have reverse wired charging, but I would definitely prefer something like the Pixel 10's reverse wireless charging. I'm surprised Apple still has not implemented a feature like that, but that is also just another one of those small minor things. So from that side, that's kind of how the outside of these bodies hold up. Price tag wise, they're roughly basically the same type of price. So they're both $799 from that standpoint. So from that particular situation too, that's not really like that big of a deal there either. So you're getting very similar types of layouts when it comes down to that side. So again, not really the biggest deal in the world, but it is just one of those other minor things to keep in mind there. Now on top of that, when it comes down to their camera side, this is also another very big difference. So it's not the big difference, but it's a small one. The Pixel 10 is going to be giving you a 48 megapixel wide angle camera, a 10.8 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 13 megapixel ultra wide camera, where the iPhone 17 is going to be giving you this dual camera setup, a 48 megapixel wide and then a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera. So there is going to be some slight differences there when it comes down to both of these types of phones from that particular side once again. But the thing I will tell you is that they're both able to do 4K at 60 on the front and the back, which is a nice thing to basically have. And you're getting very, similar types of layouts when it comes down to both of these types of phones. So I do like having these types of devices because they're going to be able to give you like a good type of experience when it comes down to that camera. Is there one camera that's significantly better than the other one? I'm not really too sure. They're both giving you like a very good type of experience. But I will say the Pixel 10, for it having that telephoto lens, does allow you to do like 5x, optical zoom, which is a lot more zooming in than the iPhone 17s. So once again, it's just going to be really dependent on how you kind of take a look at it and how you're going to kind of start looking at it for the most part. But what I can tell you is that from the camera performance side, these things are still very good performing cameras. I still have a great time with them, and there's really not one that I would look at and be like, oh my goodness, this one's way better. But I think the Pixel 10 might have some advantages, but I actually do like that center stage capability on the iPhone 17. Now, on top of that, another really important thing to keep in mind here too is that between both these types of cameras, another really important thing to keep in mind here as well is that the Pixel 10 and the iPhone 17 are both going to be lasting with software support for a long period of time. So these things are going to be supported with software for many, many years to come. And like I said before, if you're going to go through and pick up a particular phone, these two phones are going to be supported with software for several more years. So that's another really nice thing and another really good asset going on for these two types of phones when it comes down to it. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to their battery life, they're both basically giving you pretty similar battery life from what I can see. The Pixel 10 is giving you a bigger size battery, by over almost 1300 milliamp hours, which is kind of crazy. But with that being said, you're also going to have to remember that with something like the Google Pixel, 10, Android, iOS, there's going to be different optimizations between both, but I will probably still tell you if you're going to go through and pick up a certain type of camera here and a battery life and that kind of stuff, the Pixel 10 might be giving you slightly better battery life here and there, but I still think the iPhone 17's battery life is still pretty good when it comes down to it as well. Now, when it comes down to the performance, this is also another one of those key things to remember here. The iPhone 17 is going to be giving you, this Apple A19 chipset inside with 8 gigabytes of RAM, where the Google Pixel 10 is giving you the Google Tensor G5 chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM. So when it comes down to that particular side, right, which one is going to be giving you the better type of performance here? Once again, it's really just going to be dependent on the performance capability on Android, iOS, and all those things. When it comes down to these two phones, I think these two devices are giving you really good type of capability, right? They're both going to hold up very well. The phones are going to be very fast, and these are some of the best phones that you can basically get your hands on, right? The Pixel 10 is a very fast device, but I do feel like the A19 chipsets and just the A chipsets in general are probably better than the Tensor chipsets. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like both these phones are very good, but if I'm going to go through and pick up a device, I kind of do feel like that something like a Google Pixel 10 might be giving you a slightly, maybe not as good of an experience as something like an iPhone 17, but I still think the Pixel 10 is a very fast phone. But my preference would probably be Snapdragon number 1, Apple A series number 2, and then Tensor chipsets probably number 3. So to kind of sum up this comparison, what I will tell you is that in my personal opinion, if I'm going to go through and pick up a singular device here, I probably would look at something like a, iPhone 17 as being the one that's better for me. This one's going to be fitting better in my use case, fitting better in my area, and this is the one that makes a lot more sense for me to go through and recommend to buy rather than something like the Google Pixel 10. With something like the Pixel 10, this is one of those types of devices that I think is really good, and it does feel more like a flagship than something like an iPhone 17. The Pixel 10 is basically going to be able to go through and give you this telephoto lens that the 17 doesn't have, reverse wireless charging, different things like that make it feel like a flagship. But at the same time, I feel like a majority of the, advantages of the Pixel 10, I don't know, I feel like still an iPhone 17, now that it has a brighter panel and 120 Hertz, it kind of fills the gap that I kind of had before, if I'm being honest. So that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.